Jake Morrison walked slowly down the long metal hallway of Nexus Prime. His black suit felt heavy on his shoulders. The space station hummed quietly around him as hundreds of alien species went about their daily business. He had walked this same path many times over the past 3 years. Today would be his last time. The human ambassador carried a small silver case in his right hand. Inside were all the diplomatic papers that made him Earth's voice in the Galactic Council. Soon those papers would mean nothing. He thought about his wife Susan back on Earth. She had told him this day would come eventually. Humans could only take so much before they said enough. 2 security guards flanked Jake as he walked. They were Vorthan, tall blue creatures with 4 arms each. Their faces showed no emotion as they escorted him to the council chamber. Jake had learned their language years ago. He could hear them whispering to each other about how the humans were acting strange lately. The great doors of the high chamber opened with a soft hiss. Inside, representatives from 47 different alien species sat in curved rows around a central speaking platform. The chamber was huge, with a dome ceiling that showed the stars outside. Jake had given many speeches, here, always asking for fair treatment for his people, always being told no. Council Prime Zexathara sat on the highest seat. The Zephyrian leader looked like a giant bird made of silver metal. His voice came through speakers that translated his words into hundreds of languages at once. "Ambassador Morrison," he said, "we did not expect to see you today. The council voted yesterday to reject your latest request for expanded human trade rights." Jake stepped onto the speaking platform. The metal floor felt cold under his feet. Around him, alien eyes stared down from every direction. Some were friendly, faces he had worked with before. Others belonged to species that had never liked humans from the start. Today it did not matter which was which. "I am not here to make another request," Jake said. His voice carried clearly through the chamber's sound system. "I am here to deliver a message from Earth and all human colonies." The chamber grew quiet. Even the usual background chatter stopped. Jake opened his silver case and pulled out a single sheet of paper. The document was simple and short. He had written it himself just 2 days ago. "For 3 years, humanity has tried to work within this council," Jake began. "We have followed every rule. We have accepted every restriction. We have paid every fine. We have done everything asked of us and more." Councillor Vexara of the Crystal Hierarchy leaned forward. Her body looked like living diamond, catching and reflecting the chamber's lights. "The council has been more than fair with your species, human. You must understand that newer species require guidance." Jake looked directly at her. "Guidance is one thing. What we have received is something else entirely." He held up the paper and began to read. "The Zephyrian delegation demands that humanity surrender all faster-than-light travel technology to council oversight. The Crystal Hierarchy requires that all human military vessels be limited to local system defense only. The Void Collective insists that human emotional responses make us unfit for independent decision-making." The chamber erupted in sounds from dozens of different species. Some clicked, others hummed, and a few made sounds that human ears could barely hear. Jake waited for the noise to die down before continuing. "These demands would make humanity a slave species," he said. "We would have no way to travel between our own worlds without permission. We would have no way to defend ourselves from attack. We would have no voice in decisions that affect our people." Council Prime Zexthara's metal feathers rustled with annoyance. "Your species joined this council knowing that wisdom comes with age. The elder species have maintained peace in this galaxy for thousands of years. Your people have been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries. And in those 2 centuries we have never started a war," Jake replied. "We have never enslaved another species. We have never demanded that others give up their freedom to prove their worth." The human ambassador folded the paper and put it back in his case. He pulled out a different document, this one with official seals from Earth's government. The chamber grew quiet again as he prepared to speak. "Effective immediately, humanity is withdrawing from the Galactic Council," Jake announced. The words hit the chamber like a physical force. Alien voices rose in shock and disbelief. All human ambassadors, traders, researchers, and citizens will return to human space within 30 standard days. You cannot be serious, Counselor Thorex of the Bone Fleet said. The skeletal alien's voice was like grinding stone. Your species depends on Council trade routes. Your technology comes from Council research sharing. You will not survive alone. Jake smiled for the first time in months. We have survived worse things than being alone. He reached into his case, one final time, and pulled out his diplomatic credentials. The small metal card had given him the right to speak for all humanity in this chamber. He had carried it with pride for 3 years. Now he placed it gently on the speaking platform's edge. The human colonies wish the Council well, Jake said. We hope you will find the peace and wisdom you seek. But we will find our own path among the stars. The ambassador turned and walked toward the exit. Behind him, the chamber exploded into chaos. Aliens were shouting in dozens of languages. Some demanded he come back. Others called for immediate action against human space. A few just sat in, stunned silence. Jake did not look back. He walked through the great doors as they closed behind him with a final soft hiss. In the hallway outside, the 2 Vorthon guards waited for him. Their forearms were crossed and their blue faces showed confusion. Where do you go now, human? One of them asked. Home, Jake said simply. I am going home. As he walked back down the long metal hallway, Jake felt lighter with each step. The heavy weight of trying to make peace with those who did not want it was finally off his shoulders. Soon he would be back on Earth, telling his wife Susan that their long wait was over. Behind him, the Galactic Council was learning what it meant when humans said they had enough. Captain Lisa Rodriguez sat in the command chair of the Terra's Edge. The ship moved quietly through space near the border of human territory. Outside the windows, stars glowed like tiny diamonds against the black. 6 months had passed since Ambassador Morrison walked out of the Galactic Council. Lisa had been patrolling this border ever since. Her communications officer, Lieutenant Danny Walsh, turned in his seat. Captain, we have another ship approaching. It's a Helian trader vessel. Lisa nodded. Put them on screen. The main display showed a strange-looking ship that seemed to be made of twisted metal and glass. The Helians were one of the friendlier, alien species. They had always traded fairly with humans. Lisa felt a little sad as she prepared to turn them away. Human vessel, this is Captain Yeltar of the merchant ship Silver Wind, came the translated voice. We request permission to enter human space for trade. Captain Yeltar, this is Captain Rodriguez of the Terra's Edge, Lisa replied. I'm sorry, but human space is currently closed to all non-human vessels. You'll need to turn back. There was a long pause when the alien captain spoke again. His voice sounded desperate. Captain Rodriguez, please. My people need the medical supplies we usually get from your colonies. Without them, thousands will die from the plague spreading through our home system. Lisa's heart hurt. She wanted to help. The Helians had been good friends to humanity, but her orders were clear. No exceptions. I understand your situation, Captain, but I cannot allow you to pass. Human space is closed. The alien ship turned slowly around and headed back the way it came. Lisa watched until it disappeared into hyperspace. This was the 15th ship she had turned away this week. Each time got harder. On the space station Nexus Prime, Council Prime Zexthera stared at reports covering his desk. The silver bird-like alien had not slept well in weeks. Every day brought more bad news. He picked up the latest economic report and read it again, hoping the numbers would somehow be different. They were not. Trade between Council species had dropped by 30%. Food shortages were appearing on worlds that had been stable for decades. Medical supplies were running low across half the galaxy, all because the humans were gone. Counselor Vexara entered his office without knocking. The crystal being's body flashed with angry red light. Have you seen the latest reports from the outer colonies? She demanded. Zexthera looked up from his papers. Which ones? The food crisis on Kelon 5? The medical emergency in the spiral arm? The mining accidents in the void sector? All of them, Vexara said. Her crystal body pulsed faster. Every single one of these problems could be solved if we still had access to human technology and expertise. The Council Prime set down his reports. The humans were a junior species. How could their absence cause so much trouble? Vexara's light turned blue with frustration. Because we weren't paying attention. While we were treating them like children, they were quietly solving problems all across the galaxy. She activated a holographic display in the center of the office. Images appeared showing human activities from the past 3 years. Look at this data. Human medical nanobots were being used by 37 different species. Human agricultural techniques had solved food shortages on 17 worlds. Human engineers were maintaining critical systems on dozens of space stations. Sexathera stared at the display. How did we not know this? Because they never made a big show of it, Vexara replied. They just quietly helped wherever they were needed, and now they're gone. Meanwhile, in a secret facility buried deep under the surface of Mars, Dr. Peter Kim worked late into the night. The human scientist had been Earth's chief science liaison to the Council for 2 years. He had shared many discoveries with alien species, always careful to give them only what the Council deemed appropriate for a junior species to know. Now he was free to work on projects that had been forbidden. The terraforming device on his workbench could turn a dead world into a garden in just 10 years. The medical scanner beside it could cure diseases that the Council's best doctors had never even heard of. The power generator in the corner could provide clean energy for an entire star system. Peter's assistant, Dr. Michelle Carter, entered the lab carrying a cup of coffee. The reports from the border patrols just came in, she said. 63 alien vessels tried to enter human space this week. All were turned away. Peter took the coffee gratefully. Any hostile actions? None, Michelle replied. Most are traders and medical ships looking for supplies. A few were diplomatic vessels, asking to negotiate. Captain Rodriguez said they all left peacefully when told to go. Peter nodded. Good. We don't want to hurt anyone. We just want to be left alone. He turned back to his work. The terraforming device was almost complete. When it was finished, humanity would be able to turn any planet into a new home. They would never again need to ask permission to expand or explore. Back on Nexus Prime, emergency meetings were happening in council chambers throughout the station. Species that had rarely spoken to each other were now working together, trying to solve the crisis caused by humanity's absence. The Bone Fleet, known for their military might, found themselves unable to maintain their weapons without human-made components. The Void Collective, masters of space travel, discovered that their navigation systems depended on calculations that human computers had been providing. The Crystal Hierarchy, proud of their ancient wisdom, realized that their most important research projects had been led by human scientists. Council member Valorix of the Tree Singers called an emergency session. The plant-like being's voice rustled like leaves in the wind as she addressed the gathered delegates. We face a choice, she said. We can continue to pretend that humans were unimportant, or we can admit the truth. They were not just members of our council. They were the foundation that held our civilization together. In the back of the chamber, Councillor Threx of the Bone Fleet stood up. The skeletal alien's voice was like grinding stone. Then we force them to come back. We blockade their space. We make them return to the council. Valorix's leaves rustled, with what might have been laughter. With what ships? Half our fleet cannot fly without human-made parts. With what weapons? Our military technology depends on human innovations. With what right? We drove them away with our arrogance. The chamber fell silent. For the first time in thousands of years, the elder species of the galaxy realized they might not be as wise as they thought. Far away on Earth, Jake Morrison sat in his garden with his wife Susan. The former ambassador was planting tomatoes while his wife read reports from the colonies. The sun was warm on their faces, and for the first time in years, Jake felt truly peaceful. The border patrols report that alien ships are still trying to enter our space, Susan said. Should we be worried? Jake pressed a seed into the dark earth. No, they'll learn eventually. Sometimes the best way to teach someone respect is to show them what they lose when they don't have it. The galaxy was learning that lesson now, and humanity was just getting started. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the human battleship Freedom's Call. Through the main window, she could see a massive alien fleet blocking the space lanes ahead. 47 Council warships had formed a wall across the hyperspace, route between Earth and the outer human colonies. The aliens thought they could force humanity back to the negotiating table. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Admiral, the alien fleet is demanding we stop and prepare to be boarded," reported Commander Rick Hayes from his position at the communications console. "The Zephyrian Admiral is saying that all human ships must submit to Council inspection." Kate smiled. She was a tall woman with gray hair and calm eyes. She had been fighting battles in space for 20 years. This would not be her most difficult one. "Tell the Zephyrian Admiral that we decline his offer. We have somewhere to be." The human fleet consisted of 12 ships. The alien blockade had nearly 4 times as many vessels. On paper, the aliens should have been able to stop the humans easily. But Kate knew something the aliens did not. Human ships were no longer the same as they had been during the Council. Years. "All ships, this is Admiral Sullivan," she spoke into her command microphone. "Begin Phase 1. Around the Freedom's Call, the other human ships began to glow with a soft blue light. The aliens had never seen this technology before. They did not know what it meant. Kate watched their formations start to shift as confusion spread through their ranks. "Admiral, the alien fleet is charging weapons," reported Lieutenant Jenny Brooks from the weapons station. "They're targeting our lead ships." "Let them try," Kate said calmly. The alien fleet opened fire. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles flew toward the human ships. The space between the two fleets lit up like a fireworks display. Kate watched without fear as the deadly weapons approached her vessels. The alien attacks struck the human ships and simply disappeared. Every energy beam vanished into nothing. Every missile turned to dust before it could explode. The blue glow around the human ships grew brighter for a few seconds, then returned to normal. Silence filled the communication channels. The aliens had never seen anything like this before. "How is this possible?" came the voice of the Zephyrian Admiral. His metal feathers were clearly ruffled with shock and fear. Kate activated the general communication channel so all the alien ships could hear her. "Admiral Zexkara, you and your fleet have 2 choices. You can move aside and let us pass, or you can stay there and watch us go through you. Either way, we are going home." The alien admiral's voice cracked with desperate anger. "You cannot. Ignore Council authority. You are a junior species. You must obey." "We are not junior anything," Kate replied, "and we stopped obeying you 6 months ago." She turned to her crew. "All ships, prepare for Phase 2. Show them what human engineering can really do." The human fleet began to move forward. As they approached the alien blockade, something impossible happened. The human ships started to fade, not disappear, but become transparent like ghosts. Kate watched the alien fleets panic as the human vessels passed right through their formation without slowing down. "Stop them!" the Zephyrian Admiral screamed over the communications. "All ships ramming speed!" Several alien vessels tried to ram the ghostly human ships. They passed through empty space, colliding with nothing. 2 Council ships crashed into each other in their confusion. Kate shook her head sadly. The aliens were so used to others being afraid of them that they had forgotten how to think clearly. "Admiral, we're clear of the blockade," reported Commander Hayes. "All ships are through and resuming normal operations." "Good," Kate said. "Set course for Earth, full speed." As the human fleet disappeared into hyperspace, they left behind a very confused and frightened alien blockade that had just learned their weapons were useless against human technology. Meanwhile, on a secret space station hidden in an asteroid field, Council Intelligence Officer Vexthorn studied the recordings of the failed blockade. The insect-like alien had been spying on other species for over a century. He had never seen technology like what the humans had just displayed. His assistant, a young crystalline named Velera, brought him more disturbing reports. "Sir, our stealth probes have been trying to infiltrate human space for weeks. Every single one has been detected and escorted out by human security forces. Vexthorn clicked his mandibles in frustration. How is that possible? Our stealth technology is the best in the galaxy. We can hide from any sensor system. Apparently not from human sensors, Velara replied. The humans seem to know exactly where our probes are at all times. They send polite messages asking us to leave, then escort us to the border. The intelligence chief pulled up holographic displays showing human space. What he saw made his blood run cold. The humans had been building. Everywhere he looked, there were signs of massive construction projects. Space stations that had not been there a year ago. Shipyards that could build fleets. Defensive platforms that surrounded every human world. How long have they been preparing for this? He whispered. Velara activated another display. According to our analysis, at least 15 years, maybe longer. Maybe. Every human colony has been expanded far beyond what they reported to the Council. Every human world has defensive systems we never knew existed. Vexthorn stared at the data. They were lying to us. For years they were lying about everything. Earth, in a government building in Geneva, Director of Human Affairs Alex Turner sat in a meeting with the planet's top military leaders. The middle-aged man with brown hair and tired eyes had been planning for this day since humans first joined the Galactic Council. General Ben Carter, a big man with a scarred face, leaned forward in his chair. The alien intelligence probes are getting bolder. They're trying new approaches every day. Alex nodded. Let them try. Every probe they send teaches us more about their capabilities, and every failure teaches them that we're not the same species they thought they knew. Colonel Amy Peterson, head of Human Space Defense, spoke up. Our border patrols report that alien military ships are gathering near our territory. They might be planning something bigger than a blockade. Let them plan, Alex said calmly. They can gather all the ships they want. They still don't understand what they're dealing with. He activated a wall display showing the true extent of human space. The map revealed colonies on hundreds of worlds, defense stations throughout dozens of star systems, and industrial facilities that could supply entire fleets. None of it had been reported to the Galactic Council. Gentlemen, ladies, Alex said, to the room full of military officers. For 20 years we have been preparing for the day when we would have to stand alone. That day has come. The question is no longer whether we can survive without the Council. The question is whether the Council can survive without us. General Carter smiled grimly. From the reports we're getting, the answer is no. Back on Nexus Prime, emergency sessions of the Galactic Council were happening around the clock. The failed blockade had shattered any illusions about human weakness. Now panic was spreading through the elder species, as they realized they might have made the biggest mistake in galactic history. Council Prime Zexithara sat alone in his office, staring at reports that got worse every day. 3 star systems had declared independence from the Council, saying they would rather take their chances alone than wait for the government to solve the crisis. 2 more were in open rebellion, demanding that the Council find a way to bring the humans back. The silver bird-like alien's hands shook as he reached for his communication device. There was only one thing left to try, though it went against everything the Council had ever stood for. He was going to have to ask the humans for help, and he was terrified they would say no. Dr. Thelin had been digging through ancient records for 3 weeks. The old Vorthan archaeologist worked in the deepest archive levels of Nexus Prime, where documents from before the Galactic Council were stored. Most beings had forgotten these. Old files existed. Thelin wished she could forget what she had found. Her forearms moved quickly through holographic displays as she cross-referenced data from different time periods. The more she discovered, the more frightened she became. What she was learning about humanity would change everything the galaxy thought it knew. Computer, display all references to species designation builders in pre-council records, she commanded. The archive system hummed as it searched through millions of documents. Slowly, files began appearing on her screens. Ancient reports, archaeological surveys, and historical records from over 5,000 years ago. All of them mentioned a mysterious species called the Builders. Thelin read the descriptions carefully. The builders had been tall bipedal creatures with 5-fingered hands and advanced technology. They had helped establish the first galactic trade routes. They had shared medical knowledge that saved entire civilizations. They had built installations throughout the galaxy before mysteriously disappearing without explanation. The descriptions matched humans perfectly. "Computer, search for any records of builder technology or installations," the Lin said. Her voice was shaking now. More files appeared. Ancient star maps showing builder outposts in regions that were now considered empty space. Technical specifications for builder technology that was far more advanced than anything the current council possessed. Archaeological reports from dozens of worlds where builder ruins had been found and then classified as too dangerous to study. The Lin's heart was racing. She pulled up a current map of human space and overlaid it with the ancient builder territory maps. The match was perfect. Every human colony was located exactly where builder outposts had once been. Every human trade route followed ancient builder hyperspace lanes. The humans were not newcomers to the galaxy. They were the descendants of the builders, returned after 5,000 years of absence. Meanwhile, in a broadcast studio on Earth, General Ben Carter prepared to address the entire galaxy. The scarred military leader stood before cameras that would transmit his message to every world in council space. Behind him, a massive screen showed images that would shock the galaxy to its core. "Citizens of the galaxy," Ben began, his voice calm and strong. "For too long you have been told lies about humanity. Today you will learn the truth." The screen behind him lit up with images of massive space installations hidden throughout the galaxy. Shipyards that could build entire fleets. Research stations conducting experiments that the Council had banned. Defensive platforms that could protect whole star systems. While the Galactic Council treated us as children, we were watching you, Ben continued. We were monitoring your wars, preventing conflicts you never knew were about to start, and quietly solving problems that would have destroyed civilizations. More images appeared. Human ships stopping asteroid impacts on alien worlds. Human medical teams secretly helping during plague outbreaks. Human engineers maintaining critical systems on space stations whose inhabitants never knew they were there. Every species in this galaxy has been helped by humanity at some point in the last 50 years, Ben said. We prevented the war between the Crystal Hierarchy and the Bone Fleet by quietly removing the weapons shipments that were being smuggled to both sides. We stopped the plague that would have killed billions in the Outer Rim by secretly distributing vaccines. We kept your economy stable by carefully managing trade routes and resource distribution. The general paused to let his words sink in. Across the galaxy, alien leaders watched in stunned silence as decades of human intervention were revealed. We did this not because we had to, but because we chose to, Ben continued. We believed that all intelligent life deserved to prosper. We thought that by proving ourselves worthy, you would eventually accept us as equals. The screen showed footage of council meetings where human requests had been denied, human achievements had been dismissed, and human concerns had been ignored. We were wrong, Ben said. You never saw us as equals. You saw us as useful servants, who should be grateful for your attention. When we asked for basic rights, you demanded we give up our freedom. When we showed you our abilities, you told us we were too dangerous to be trusted. The images changed again. Now they showed human colonies on worlds the Council had declared uninhabitable. Cities thriving in regions of space that aliens considered impossible to settle. Technologies that made Council science look primitive. You want to know why we were able to disappear so easily from your society? Ben asked. Because we were never really part of it. While you were debating whether to let us study basic physics, we were exploring dimensions you cannot imagine. While you were limiting us to one star system, we were building homes throughout the galaxy. The screen displayed a map showing the true extent of human territory. It was enormous, covering regions of space that the Council had mapped as empty or unexplored. Thousands of worlds, millions of installations, billions of humans living in places the aliens never knew existed. We are not the young species you thought you knew, Ben said. We are the children of the builders, the ones who, helped create galactic civilization before your ancestors learned to make fire. We have been spacefaring for over 6,000 years. We have technologies that could remake entire star systems. We have knowledge that could solve every problem your species face. On Nexus Prime, Dr. Thelin stared at her screens in horror, as General Carter's words confirmed her worst fears. The humans were not just descendants of the Builders. They were the Builders, returned with thousands of years of additional development. And now you know why we chose isolation, Ben continued. We tried to work within your system, but your system was designed to keep us as servants. We offered to share our knowledge, but you wanted to control how we used it. We asked for partnership, but you demanded submission. The General's expression hardened. That ends now. Humanity will no longer pretend to be weak. We will no longer hide our capabilities to make you comfortable. We will no longer accept being treated as children by species we helped raise from primitive civilizations. The screen behind him showed human fleets emerging from hidden bases throughout the galaxy. Ships appeared near every major alien world, every important trade route, every strategic location. They had been there all along, watching and waiting. To those species who wish us harm, know that we are not the easy target you thought we were, Ben said. We have been holding back for your sake, not ours. We have weapons that could crack planets, defenses that make your fleets useless, and the ability to be anywhere in the galaxy within hours. The camera zoomed in on the General's face. But we do not want war. We never wanted war. We want what we have always wanted, to be left alone to live our lives in peace. To those species who wish to continue working together, you will find us generous friends as we have always been. But the relationship will be one of equals, not masters and servants. We will share our knowledge freely with those who respect our independence. Ben stepped closer to the camera. The galaxy is about to change. You can be part of that change, or you can be left behind by it. The choice is yours. The broadcast ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. On thousands of worlds, alien leaders stared at their screens, trying to process what they had just learned. The humans they had dismissed as primitive newcomers were actually the most advanced species in the galaxy. On Earth, General Carter walked out of the studio and found director Alex Turner waiting for him. The two men looked out through a window, at the blue sky above their world. Think they got the message? Alex asked. Ben smiled grimly. Oh, they got it. Now we'll see what they do with it. Above them, human ships moved through space with purposes their alien neighbors were only beginning to understand. The age of hiding was over. Humanity had finally shown its true face to the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council was falling apart. 3 major wars had started in the past month. The Crystal Hierarchy was fighting the Bone Fleet over mining rights that humans used to quietly manage. The Void Collective had invaded 2 smaller species, territories to grab resources they could no longer get from human trade. The Spiral Federation was breaking into smaller groups as member species blamed each other for the crisis. Council Prime Zex Thera sat in his office watching reports of battles across the galaxy. His silver feathers were dull and lifeless. The great civilization that had lasted for thousands of years was crumbling in just 8 months, all because the humans were gone. A soft chime announced someone at his door. Enter, he called weakly. Ambassador Rachel Stone walked into the office. The human woman was tall and confident, with short black hair and sharp green eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform that somehow looked more impressive than all the ceremonial robes in the council chambers. Behind her floated a small device that Zexathara had never seen before. Council Prime, Rachel said politely. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. Zexathara stared at her. How did you get here? Our sensors detected no human ships approaching the station. Rachel smiled. We have been here all along. That is part of what we need to discuss. The floating device behind her projected a holographic image that made Zexathara's heart stop. It showed Nexus Prime space station surrounded by human ships. Dozens of them, all invisible to council sensors. They had been there for months, watching everything. You have been spying on us, Zexathara whispered. We have been protecting you, Rachel corrected. Last week, a Bone Fleet strike force planned to attack this station. We quietly disabled their navigation systems and made them think their mission was cancelled. 2 days ago, saboteurs from the Crystal Hierarchy tried to plant bombs in the station's power core. We removed the explosives and the saboteurs never knew they had been discovered. The Council Prime's hand shook. Why would you protect us? We drove you away. Rachel sat down in the chair across from his desk. Because despite everything, we still believe intelligent life has value, even when that life makes poor choices. She activated another hologram showing the current state of the galaxy. Red zones marked active conflicts. Yellow areas showed regions on the verge of war. Only a few small green spots remained peaceful. This is what the galaxy looks like without human management, Rachel said. In 8 months, you have undone 3,000 years of careful diplomatic work. Species that lived in peace for centuries are now killing each other over resources and old grudges. Zexthara looked at the display and felt sick. What do you want from us? Nothing, Rachel replied. We no longer need anything from the Galactic Council, but we are willing to offer you something. She stood up and walked to the window overlooking the council chambers. Below, alien delegates were shouting at each other while emergency sessions tried to solve crisis after crisis. We offer a new beginning, Rachel said. Not as masters and servants, but as equals. The Galactic Council, as you knew it, is finished, but we can build something better to replace it. Zexithera joined her at the window. What would you require from us? Respect, Rachel said simply. Recognition that humanity is not a junior species that needs guidance. Acceptance that we have the right to govern ourselves as we see fit. Agreement that all species, no matter how old or young, deserve equal voice in galactic affairs, the cure. Council Prime was quiet for a long moment. And if we refuse? Rachel's expression remained calm. Then you refuse. We will not force anyone to work with us. Species that choose to continue the old ways are free to do so. They will simply have to solve their problems without human help. She gestured toward the chaos visible in the chambers below. As you can see, that is not working well for most of you. Over the next 3 days, representatives from 43 different species came to Nexus Prime. Some came to surrender, others came to negotiate, a few came to make threats they could not back up. All of them wanted the same thing, for the crisis to end. Jake Morrison stood in the same council chamber where he had announced humanity's withdrawal. Now he was back as Director of Human External Affairs. The chamber looked different now. Instead of the old hierarchy with elder species on top and younger ones below, all the seats were arranged in a circle. Every species had an equal voice. The Galactic Partnership welcomes all members as equals, Jake announced. There will be no senior or junior species, no restrictions based on age or development level, no demands for technology sharing or military limitations. Councillor Vexara, of the Crystal Hierarchy, raised one crystalline hand. What guarantees do we have that humans will not use their superior technology to dominate us? Jake smiled. The same guarantee you gave us when we were weaker. None. You will have to trust us, just as we had to trust you. The crystal being's light flickered with uncertainty. After a moment, she nodded. We accept these terms. One by one, other species voiced their agreement. The Zephyrians, the Void Collective, the Tree Singers, and dozens of others. Not all of them were happy about the new arrangement, but they could see what happened to those who tried to go it alone. 3 species refused to join the new partnership. The Bone Fleet declared they would rather fight than accept human equality. The Spiral Federation said they needed no outside help. The Iron Lords claimed they would build their own alliance. Within 6 months, all 3 were asking to reconsider. The Bone Fleet found their military technology breaking down without human-made components. The Spiral Federation discovered that their trade routes had depended on human navigation systems. The Iron Lords learned that their mining operations needed human expertise to remain profitable. Meanwhile, species that joined the partnership prospered. Human technology helped solve food shortages and medical crises. Human diplomats prevented conflicts before they could start. Human engineers built new trade routes that connected distant civilizations. Jake sat in his garden on Earth, watching his grandchildren play among the tomato plants. His wife Susan sat beside him, reading reports from the outer colonies. The work of rebuilding galactic civilization would take years, but it was going well. The Bone Fleet just sent another request to join the partnership, Susan said. That makes the fourth one this month. Jake smiled as he watched his grandson chase a butterfly between the plants. Let them wait a little longer. They need to understand that membership is a privilege, not a right. A communication device on the garden table chimed softly. Jake picked it up and saw a message from Captain Lisa Rodriguez. Her patrol ship was exploring new star systems beyond the old galactic borders. Every week they discovered new species that had been hiding from the Council's expansion. Found another civilization today, the message read. They've been avoiding contact for centuries because they were afraid of being conquered. When we told them about the partnership, they asked if they could join. Jake set down the device and looked up at the stars beginning to appear in the evening sky. Somewhere up there, human ships were exploring, protecting, and building relationships with species the old council had never known existed. The galaxy was bigger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. The children asked when they can visit the new colonies. Susan said. Soon, Jake replied. The partnership ships are finishing the new hyperspace routes next month. Travel times will be cut in half. As night fell over Earth, lights began to twinkle in the darkness above. Some were stars that had shone for billions of years. Others were human installations, space stations, and ships carrying people and cargo between the worlds. The galaxy was alive with activity and hope. The Galactic Council was dead. In its place, a partnership of equals was building something better. And at the center of it all, humanity had finally taken its rightful place not as servants or masters, but as the guardians they had always been meant to be. The galaxy was learning to trust again, and humans were teaching them how.